Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Design Blind Date. On today's episode, we have Claudio Guglieri, one of my favorite all-time designers. Did incredible work over the years. Now he's a creative director at Huge, which is an amazing agency in Oakland, California. On today's episode, we talk about why he moves from freelancing to working in agency over the years and how he actually became so good as a designer. Enjoy this conversation. Hey, Claudio, welcome to the show.
Hey,
Thank you so much for coming and staying up late. I've been following your work for years, so I'm really excited for this talk.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to start talking about is you've just started working in Huge a few months ago, but during your career, you've been kind of like jumping on and off from agencies to freelance. And I'd like to hear your thoughts about the differences. Like from my experience, I've also done a little bit of agency work and now for the last few years freelancing, and I kind of feel like freelancing is my thing. And I got the feeling from all the designers that I talked about that there is kind of like either the personality fits freelance or full-time work, and you've been jumping on and off. So I wanted to know how you think about this. How you make the choice, what do you want to do? Can you share a little bit?
Yeah, totally. I think that, let's see, you can, I guess there are many lenses you could use to look at it, right? You could look at freelance as in, I prefer to freelance. I prefer to be a freelancer because I like my freedom. I like to work on my own terms. I like to work with my clients, just the way I like to work, versus having to go somewhere 9 to 5. That's one lens of it. Another one could be someone that maybe it's wants to be an individual contributor, doesn't want to go through a managerial career path, and freelance is their thing. That's fine. To me, it really depends. What I'll say is like freelancing, it always feels like vacation. I love the idea of freelancing because, man, I'm not like, there are people that get way more requests than I do. But you just all day at home, working, but at the same time, like the flexibility and everything allows you to live your life in your own terms. And well, there's something good about it. There's also a limitation to it, and that is you're just limited to your own skills. And I think the reason why I've been jumping back and forth is because I've always found a reason to come back to full-time. And the reason this past time, for instance, has been to be able to apply everything that I do as a freelancer on a team. And that means I'm able to amplify and work on projects that I will not be able to work on just by myself. So it's a mix. I've been working, right before coming to Huge, I was working freelancing for Oculus on a project that I cannot talk about, but it was really nice. And there were lots of really cool agencies involved, extremely talented people.
For the brand?
For the product.
For the product. Okay.
And it was one of those where I was like, oh my God, this is...
With Josh Higgins?
I said I cannot talk about it.
Okay, I got it.
No, it wasn't with him. But
okay.
I guess my point is one of those projects. It's like a drop in the ocean, I only got the gig because this person that came from RJ was familiar with my work, and he's like, "Oh, you'd be good at it," and it worked out. But normally, I don't get reach out for those things. I get contacted to do the work that I've done already. So. So it's a balance of that, when I going to Microsoft was again working on things that are bigger than myself. Working on Huge is hey, what if I could apply everything that I do as a freelancer on a bigger group of people, and basically drive them almost as if they were my employees. without the economical risk of like hiring a bunch of people. So I don't know. It's a learning path. I think I always find reasons to like jump back and forth. Like right now, I'm learning things that as a freelancer you're not exposed to, like what it takes to run a creative department at an agency. Yeah, I don't know, stuff that I'm interested in.
Yeah. So it sounds pretty clearly from you that you enjoy working on things that are bigger, or either projects or working with a team that is bigger than you. So it makes sense to work in a team environment.
Yeah.
So was freelancing just a thing in between finding the right teams, or was it something that you like deliberately were passionate about and wanted to explore?
No, I was pretty close to like open my own thing.
Yeah,
And
that was actually
like,
my next question. Like, okay, if you want to work on big things and you had the experience at agencies, so why don't you set up your own shop?
I think I'm a coward. No, I think when I talked to the chief design officer, huge, I was really honest. I was like, listen, I can do. I mean, not in a showing off or anything, right? But like the rates that you get as a freelancer normally are better than what you get as full time.
Yeah.
So my point to him was, I can get more money just doing freelance, and I can live a life a bit more comfortable. The only reason I will go to a company like Huge is if I'm able to do what I think is right. If I'm able to put in practice everything that I think is needed to run a business, and at the same time acknowledge that I don't know everything. So I need to be exposed to people that are better than me, and their own skills like program or operations or like freaking like money calculations and all that. And that was the challenge. Now, arguably you could think like this is everything. Life is a path, and we're like doing our own path, and we're just trying to figure it out. To me, this was a way to learn things that otherwise I would have to learn the hard way.
Got it.
That doesn't
So you
mean
think that it is possible that at
try.
some point in the future, like you will start an agency or something?
Yeah,
It is possible.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I still get reached out by, clients that I still want to work for. But, of course, they're looking for a freelance rate. They're not looking for a full agency rate. So I think that's the challenge.
Yeah.
And I think once you become an agency, now you're not the agency's friend. Now you're like, oops, that you're a competitor.
Right.
You need to charge accordingly, or you need to break, in the market through breaking, budgets and prices. There are many strategies around that, but I felt like I wasn't ready for it, or I didn't have enough like cushion of safety net to do that.
Got it.
Yeah.
When you were freelancing, how did you deal with all the kind of managerial side of freelancing, like pricing, dealing with the finance and everything?
I'm so lucky because my wife takes care of a lot of stuff.
She does negotiations for you?
Oh, no. She does all the bookkeeping, all the like, invoicing, like all the, just like the no-brainer stuff that still takes time.
Yeah.
She does all that.
I know.
Negotiations?
Mine too. It's so helpful.
It's so helpful. I honestly try not to negotiate. In my experience, every time I negotiate, I end up regretting it.
Really?
In fact, yeah, totally. In fact, every time a client argues pricing, to me, that's already like, it's not a good sign. It's not the beginning of a good partnership, because what they're doing is really, they have their own reality, and I understand that. But at the same time, I have my own reality. I'm coming with a price based on that, and based on the output that I'm producing. Like if that doesn't match, it doesn't match. It's not meant to be. I know what I'm saying sounds really privileged, and I think we're really lucky to work in this industry where we can like say no to clients. So don't think that I'm not aware of that, but just in my personal experience, every time a client has pushed back on money, it hasn't been good. And
Was that also your
I could see it.
experience? Was that also your perception, or when you just started out? Were you also doing freelancing at the beginning of your career?
So, not really. Like when I moved, I'm from Spain originally. I did a few, finished college and all that. I work in the city of Valencia with, friends that are still my friends. And then I moved to the UK. So like I moved to the UK, I found a job over there, and then I basically went full time until I had my green card here in the US, and then I was able to start freelancing.
Oh, got it. Okay. So you started freelancing after you had a lot of experience and
really
and a
2015
portfolio.
really.
Okay.
And I was really lucky because one of the people that had contacted me for this to join Medium just quit, went to Lonely Planet, and we started working together when I went freelancing. So it was like you cannot go freelance with a better project than Lonely Planet.
Yeah. Also, that was not exactly my experience, but I also worked in a lot of places for like 10 years, and I did a little bit freelance on the side, but until I went like full-time freelancing. And I think I also tell a lot of people that, if you build up a lot of network and connection and you meet a lot of people along the way, it's going to be much easier to freelance once you have that experience, portfolio, people who know you already.
It's so funny. It really all comes down to that. Like it all comes down to the relationships you've done along the way.
Yeah.
And like I've been at jobs where I haven't enjoyed it, but I still push through. And years later, one person will reach out like, "Hey, we have this thing," and I'm like, "Wow, we didn't do good work together, but you somehow you kept a good memory of me." It's so weird. What is the weirdest, I guess, reach out you have had in that sense?
The weirdest? It's just like I had
unexpected.
It's for example, I had, clients that I worked with, and there were people that I didn't really work with directly. It's just that they saw me when I came to the office, and I would just say, "Hi, what's up?" and introduce myself. We never worked together. They never saw my work, but they remember I was a nice guy in person. Then they moved out somewhere else, and somebody asked them, "Hey, do you know a designer?" And they were like, "Yeah, in my old company, we had this great designer." And they reached out to me, and they don't even know my work, but they remember I was a nice guy. So
it's like, what can we use now? We could use a nice guy.
The truth is everybody's always looking for somebody nice to work with. It's like, I also think that sometimes not that they don't know how to judge design, but they're not like us. We can tell, okay, this is a very good designer, this is a medium, whatever. Clients sometimes have other criteria when they're choosing who to work with. And a lot of times it's personally or personal connection or something like that.
So really, I guess what you're getting to is the deliverable is not that much the work, but the experience. And it's not
the deliverable, but of course, when you're hiring somebody, work is very important, but also reliability, the experience. Yeah. Like, can you trust him? Does he deliver on time? Do you feel good communicating with them? Are they clear? A lot of things matter, I think.
That's right.
So here's one thing that I'm really curious about in your case. I feel like your craft level, the level of output and things that you create is really, really high. And while I do believe that, talent has a place, and I'm sure, you're very talented, obviously, I'm also sure that you've taken steps to improve as a designer, art director, creative director. So what I'm wondering is, what do you do to become a better designer, or what have you been doing throughout your journey to improve yourself?
Damn. Man, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. I think each stage of your career has like milestones you need to hit. there's, a few things. Let me start from the very beginning. I think being exposed, your background matters a lot. And when I say this, it's like, same as, I'm not sure about yourself, but like people that come from Spain have been exposed to a different work environment. And it all comes to like your ethics of work.
What is the work environment that you grew up with in Spain?
Sure. So Spain is a small industry, meaning everybody needs to do everything. And, there are no Googles, there are no flashy clients. They're just, you need to basically scratch gold out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Clients are demanding and they don't understand design. They don't have to understand design.
It sounds very similar to what people are saying about Israel. And I know that a lot of people from countries, I think this is a very common complaint or situation, let's say. Yeah.
Right. And there's also a generational gap, right? Like as a designer, you work for people that are like much older than you versus now. Now I work for people sometimes that are younger than me.
Yeah.
And they're at Google, whatever. Like it's a different world. Anyway, I think that matters. As in that brings a different work ethics that is not reflected on people that just, for the most part, of course, you can generalize, but there's a pattern. If everything that you've known in your career is amazing clients, you kind of like get comfortable in that world. I think one of the things that I've always tried to do is find, and this is true for like the people that I work with as well, like find the one thing that is going to make this project shine. And back, were you like, do you use the FWA back in the days?
FWA?
Yeah.
Yeah, for website awards.
Yeah. Like you looked
as
at it
inspirations, references, stuff like that. Yeah, of course.
So like you will
open
go
my
and say,
morning with
God.
it every day.
That's right. You see like, the latest Nike campaign, the latest and I was working in Spain with a gym, a real estate agency, insurance, electrical panel thing. Like we had nothing. There was nothing to scratch. Once we got this photographer, and this is my first FWA, this agency called Picture in Life, and he was the photographer of the show Supermodel, the Spanish version. We flipped out, and we were like, we had something for the first time we can like put out there, and it's not gonna feel like an outlier. So we did, and that ended up being good. Anyway, back to your original question. I think the background matters, as in like grinding. I work every day. I work every night. My role is now like whatever group creative director. I still come home and design every day.
What do you design when you come home?
Sure. So I have a bunch of like side projects. Right now, I'm writing an article called "The Importance of Having a Point of View," just for fun. And I want to take a picture of my kid's diaper full of poop. And it's going to be so gross.
How old is he?
He's 21 months. So big poops totally unleash.
Because at the beginning they changed the color, so I wanted to know what color and texture you're at right now.
It's pretty disgusting, I'll tell you that.
I know. I've been there.
But how do you have kids yourself?
Yeah. 4 and 2 years old.
Oh my God. So I'm 5 and 21 months. So
okay.
Yeah. What else? Another project that I have is basically like.
So the way that you stay in touch and hands-on kind of is, so at your work, you're not doing hands-on, right? It's team management and art direction? Or?
Yeah, for the most part, not.
And so the way that you stay in touch is by doing side projects?
Yes.
Which you do literally every day?
Yes.
After the kids go to sleep, or?
Yep.
Wow, that's intense.
They go to sleep at around like 8:30. Yeah, I mean, I watch Game of Thrones too, so like it's not like every day.
Yeah, of course.
I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get the point. And anyway, I think again, different stages of your life or your career have different things. So like I'll say at the beginning is a lot of like grinding without direction. Now I'm way more strategic about what I want to do. So like
Wait, so let's discuss them both. What is grinding without direction? As when you're starting out.
like I did a Netflix redesign once. Just like irrelevant things like that.
Okay,
But I didn't do it
random
because
things.
yeah, you gotta find what makes you excited about something. So like sometimes it was like an icon, sometimes it was like, hey, let's do a bookshelf. This is super skeuomorphic with like movies on it. That could be the next Netflix UI. It's just, I think at the very beginning or at those stages of your career, you need to be excited about the craft. Now I'm excited about the craft, but I'm also excited about the hidden, I guess, the hidden treasures of design. And let me elaborate a little bit on this.
Yeah.
Like I don't go to Dribble for inspiration anymore. I just.
What about
don't,
FWA?
I don't go to FWA anymore. I know. The FWA, and I'll tell this to Rob for all the time, is it's essential. Like, man, that builds such a global community. I feel like without it, I wouldn't be here. Without the push to be there. But no, I guess my point is like now, I'm excited about different things. So like the other project that I have is basically trying to envision an OS where, you have more signals to like basically interact with, let's say, a phone. So right now we use our thumb. What if you could use like hovers with your thumb? How would that be different? And there's a bunch of research, ugly research that is still really interesting about it. Or like, remember last year, this guy did this AR kit, kind of like, he could look at his phone and the phone will know. Hey, what if you have all of that by default? Would you still need a toolbar? Would you still need, certain elements? You wouldn't need them, or maybe you will need them bigger if you're looking at them. Like, I'm just trying to like, it's like weird shit. It might not get into anything, but that's what I get. That's what gets me excited. Not redesigning, a Dropbox logo anymore.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, and this is something that I saw in your work over the last few years. It's kind of like, what is our relationship with technology? Kind of like that's
so cool.
Something that excites you.
Yeah, it's so interesting. There's so much to do there.
Cool. So you've mentioned, like, have you been doing side project or these things for fun, these kind of explorations for fun during your whole journey? As you said, like a Netflix redesign and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I've been doing this for, many, many, many years. I think that the difference is that I've never been, like I see other designers that, their side project has become a successful product or have become, things like that. I guess I've never been that, I talked about strategic, but it always comes back to what excites me, not to what's relevant in the market.
Yeah, got it. But I guess what I wanted to know is...
I don't need it.
Yeah, I guess what I wanted to know was, like, was it, besides fun and helping in improving your craft, was it helpful for you? Did you use it kind of as portfolio pieces, for your next job or whatever?
Yeah. Like I really haven't been able to post, like, my 2 years at Microsoft, I barely post anything. So everything that I put out was basically like experiments. Like at that point, I was willing to learn in Framer. So like I will, draw UIs just because I will think of a cool interaction. Mm-hmm. There was no purpose to it, but it somehow ended up, you get more awareness and that leads to work.
So Microsoft was the one time in your career where you actually worked in-house versus in an agency, right?
Yeah.
What was that experience like? I know I will give you my perspective. I worked in agencies for a while, and then I was pitched by a startup that with the pitch of the CEO was like, you never owned, a product. You did a design for a month, then you walked away. You never took ownership about if the design was good or not. Come work at a product company, then you can follow up, then you can see what works and improve it, and really be part of making sure that you make a good design, not just design and walk away. And then I went to work as a product designer. How did you feel about that?
Hold on, is that the end of the story?
No, so I worked there for a while. I took ownership on the company, and then I was like, you know what? I'll go freelancing now. No, honestly, what I realized is that as I became a product designer that was really involved in not only like the design, but also in asking the question, what should we design? Is this feature really necessary? I started to have conflicting, I would say, visions or, ways of I wanted to do things differently. And then I thought, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go and do my own thing. And I think I realized I'm not a good employee because I always think I'm smarter than other people, which is a limitation. I know it's a problem, but it created a lot of frustration for me. And so I'm working on my own now.
Yeah, all right.
And it's, you know what? And it's going back to what you said at the beginning. I do know that there is limitation in that because I'll never be able to work on huge projects because I'm a one-person operation. But then again, the feeling of being able to really run my life the way I want them and not have to follow up with decisions that I'm not fully agree with is worth it for me. So it's a trade-off. It's not perfect. But.
Here's the question though. What if you were the one making the decisions?
In that company? Yeah. I have to say, without hurting any of my previous boss, that I do believe in the sentence that says people do not leave work, they leave their bosses. So I maybe things were different, but I don't know. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was the question again?
I don't remember, but but you said earlier, something. What?
In-house versus.
Oh yeah, the in-house. Yeah. I got lost.
As in a product company, right?
Right.
Yeah, honestly, I heard that pitch gazillion times. I don't care. Like, I am like, sure, ownership. You get it. That's not. I'm here to. My value is not to churn on a feature for 8 months. My value is to come up with a feature, design the best of it, and not be pretentious about it. Like, you need to do your research and make sure you're making the right decision. But at some point, you become a messenger, and I don't have time for that. I don't have time for becoming the messenger that goes to convincing people for whatever the amount of time. I think it comes down to that. Like, Microsoft is great. I mean, just like in any other company, you can find people that have a horrible experience, or you can find people that have the best experience and will swear by the company forever. That is true to Apple. That is true to like every single big corporation. My experience was good. I met super talented people. I was part of like teams that were doing relevant things, but I got to a point I understood that I wasn't providing the value that I wanted to provide.
Yeah. So for you, you think that your value is doing kind of like the heavy lifting, then moving on to the next thing, or?
Yeah, I mean, by no means I'm like, trying to like talk down to the people that do the work and stay there for like 6 months to ship that feature. I think that's great and that's needed. It's just not me.
That's fair enough.
I
think it's important to understand, as I said, that I discovered about myself, like you have to understand who you are and what's good for you. It's not judgmental as in what? I can't believe other people will stay 8 months on a feature. Some people, I know people who are like really fascinated about exploring all the different options and trying many things and love the research and would love that. So it's not like one thing is better. It's just who you are.
Yeah, I agree with that. It definitely takes a different set of skills to do one thing versus another. And I think that's all the tension that we have around the notion of product design versus, the more traditional like art director. Like it's just a different skill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think part of it is every single corporation, you need to create culture. And when you create a culture, you create culture, you put the right ingredients in place and culture happens, right? But you enforce certain things. And there's a mission, you need to believe in the mission. And, it is my job to believe every single mission of the companies that I work at. But at the same time, there's only so much you can not believe and go with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like if I work at a company that, does like coffee mugs that, are amazing and don't burn your hands, yet they keep your drink hot. I mean, I can care about that, but I'm not going to devote my life to it. But if you're the CEO of that company, you better care about that, with that intensity. I think there's only so much, buying I can do before I'm like, the job is done.
Got it. Yeah. There was something interesting that you said before, which was like, especially when you were working on projects, I don't know if to say scrappy projects, but real estate, that you were always looking for the one thing that you can use to make something cool out of it.
Right.
Can you elaborate on how would you find that thing if things are limited, if this is not the sexiest project? How do you think about that?
Yeah.
How do you find that thing?
I think there's that in every single project. Like, you can tell me the worst project in the world, there's always something. Projects, I mean, for the most part, every single project is like 80% of branding and 20% of the spark, the special thing. If you're making a website that has, 10 templates, most likely most of those templates are going to be boring, or they're going to be, amazing. Not everything can be like jumping on your eyes. To me, like, one way of looking at it is like, can you look back to every project that you've done before 6 months from now, and still, what would you remember? What would somebody remember? I was having this conversation with Henry from Dog Studio, and we landed a little bit on the same thought in the sense of, some of the work that he does is really guided towards that. So I don't know if you are familiar with the work they do.
Dog Studio is a studio from Belgium.
Yeah,
they do Kick Festival.
Correct.
Yeah,
so
I love it. Yeah, they're doing amazing work, amazing websites.
Right, they're so good. A couple of years ago, they did this Kick Festival website that was a gorilla. Right?
Gorilla?
Do you remember that one? Yeah.
No, the one with the glitches. A gorilla, like the animal gorilla?
It was an animal gorilla.
I don't remember
water.
that one. Okay, don't remember that one.
Okay.
Which year was that?
Let me tell you. Of course, I put Kick Festival gorilla. Nothing shows. Oh, no, it does. Invisible Creatures. When was this? I'm looking at comps. 2017.
2017. Okay.
Invisible Creatures. Anyway, my conversation with him was in this kind of like along the same lines. Like, what would you remember of this site? You would say, how would you phrase it? You would say, oh yeah, the website with the gorilla.
Got it.
What is the latest .com? Oh, the one with the dog in 3D.
You know what? Yeah. It's so funny that you said this, because I think I was in Kick Festival maybe 2016, And I really remember the website. It was with kind of like really cool glitches. So here it is. I can tell you a website from 3 years ago, and I can say, yeah, it was the website with the glitches. And it was really well made. They had like this subtle mouth interactions where you hover over images or type, like the colors would move in kind of layers. So that was really cool.
Right.
So that's
like
interesting.
Every single, I guess, to that point, like look back at your own work 6 months from now. What was that project about? Was it, what was it? How would you, what's stuck in your mind about it?
Yeah, I understand. But is that how you come up with ideas or judge your ideas? In a sense, like, would that be memorable? Like, is that iconic or?
I judge my ideas that way at scale. Meaning, when I'm working on a project that is gigantic, you always need to make sure you don't get lost in the production of it and forget the fact that if you don't have any of this, it's not going to be memorable. It's just not going to go anywhere. Now, when I'm thinking about my own work as a freelancer, it's all about finding areas of interest. And I'll elaborate this a little bit more. It's about finding interesting moments that are either, they basically bring something back to me. So one of the projects that I did this past time when I was freelancing was this iOS app called Olmo. I did the design of the app, and basically we had this AI entity that will basically respond to you, and you will be able to chat with that entity and all that. All I wanted to do was come up with an AI entity that wouldn't fall in the cliches of HAL 9000 or the orb or whatever. I wanted to find something softer. So all I wanted to learn there was how could I do something that feels organic but doesn't feel aggressive? It almost feels like watercoloring, as it changes from one kind of state to another. So that ended up becoming a framer, kind of coding exercise, really. That's what I got out of it. That's kind of the one thing I'm really proud of this project just because of this.
Got it. Cool. So before you said that you're writing articles and you've been writing for a while now. Do you still do that consistently or?
No, not really. I need to be more consistent. I feel like I started using a bit more cinema for these. So I changed the cover of my site.
For your latest talk, I saw.
Yeah. But now I want to get back to it. I feel like I haven't done much in a while. I feel like I went through, life happened. I have another kid. I moved back from Seattle to the Bay Area again. We just moved to a new place. That's why my background is so
clean,
sterile. It's so clean. There's only one chair over there.
Yeah, minimal.
It's so minimal. One chair. I think I went through a short time period where I almost looked too much at what was going on. And I think when you look too much around, you kind of I personally kind of get blocked by it. And I started a bunch of articles that I never finished just because I thought they were not relevant. And I'm getting to a point where, I realized that everything that I've written, it's never the most popular article on Medium. It's never it never gets 1,000 retweets. But if you measure your work in those terms, you're always going to be pretty unhappy.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm changing my philosophy a little bit to I just want to do things that I kind of think are cool, and I don't care what anybody thinks. And the reality is there's always one person, and it happens organically that will reach out and will say oh, that thing that you wrote, it meant so much for me. I'm wow, you're probably the only person that thought so, but maybe it was worth it just for one person to feel inspired. It's
That's
so
awesome.
weird. Yeah, it's so rewarding. Yeah, but there's times where you go to dribble and you're I had the one shot. This is gonna turn the world upside down.
I don't know. No, honestly, I don't have a dribble, so I do not know that feeling. But I can imagine.
Oh my God. I have this one shot. There's like, it has everything. This is going to be incredible. You put it online, I put it at night. I wake up in the morning, it has like 20 likes. And I'm like, what the fuck? All that, it just, it didn't, it's just not the right way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that from Instagram. I guess it's the same thing, same feeling.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, Instagram, same thing. I don't even think about it anymore. Just keep posting.
But you started actually posting something that I found really incredible, the series that you started doing on Instagram TV with the process.
Yes.
That, first of all, that really inspired me. I'm also trying to do something like that on YouTube, but it was first of all, it was really well produced, which was like, I was curious about how you recorded and edited that, but also it looks like you kind of stopped in the middle.
I know.
What happened
I feel
there?
so bad about it. Well, what happened is
Can you give a little context for people who didn't go? So first of all, everybody go to Claudio's Instagram account and check out and follow him.
Guglieri.life. That's the username. Yeah. So I still have them up. So this was a IGTV series that I did basically as I was working on a project for a client. And I asked the client if they would mind if I actually would post real-time updates on the project as I was working on it. And, with a little bit of buffer, and obviously they would always be able to review it and make sure they feel comfortable. And they were cool with it, so I just went with it. I did not, it's something that I did myself on my own time. It wasn't part of the project necessarily, but I thought that, it will return. Well, it would be fun to start. It would inspire people, and it would just like good practice, just like a good exercise to like organize your thoughts and your work.
Yeah. Was it the first time that you did videos?
Not really.
Okay.
So I work in a bunch of like films. I always come in as as in the person that will drive the UI for the video, but at the end I end up being part of like the script, all the process of the production. Now, when it comes to like videos at that level, I have this thing where, and this is kind of like how I work with clients. Like part of your previous point of like what you live is the experience really, and that's what people take away from your relationship with them. Something that I do when I'm freelancing is like, if you're my client, I'm giving you updates every single day. I never go dark for a single day, even if I have almost nothing to report, and I'm not even expecting the client to watch to follow along. But at the end of every single day, I record a video and I post the video on a Dropbox folder.
Nice.
And at the end of the project, I have like 30 days, 30 videos. And
that's incredible.
It's like short videos, but it creates trust. And they watch the first 3 videos, and after that, nobody watches the videos anymore. But it's
that's incredible.
But
by the way, it's really incredible.
I found that's the best way to work with clients. I live in San Francisco. I have a San Francisco rate. I have to pay rent. It's not the rates that you have in other parts of the world, and it's just because this is really freaking expensive. I feel like the least I can do is make sure they always feel engaged. So like I've done tons of projects like that, of videos like that. So
so you were telling me what happened with the IGTV series.
That's right. So this came in naturally, right? So like in terms of production, I had everything that I needed, but man, it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's like cutting the audio, timing everything. I have a lot of fun. Like I love listening to it even now because I know the work that went into every single piece.
No, I love it with the typography, like how you're writing the text that you're saying. Like I thought that was incredible.
That was actually the laziest part because I was like, I don't know what to do for like 10 seconds. Let's just write what I'm saying,
But it's great. It looks like something that you might see on whatever Netflix. I don't know, like really well produced content.
Nice. So, man, I don't wanna shit on the client either. I feel like, the client had, there was a set of expectations at the beginning of the project that did not pan out at the very end. And
Got it.
what started being, hey, I'm doing this because, and I'm committed to it. I'm so committed that I'm putting my own hours, for, because of life, timing, external factors, ended up being a really watered down version of what I originally anticipated.
You mean the
So
end result of the
the end
website?
result of the project.
Yeah. Even though
And,
I checked it out and it looks great. No? You're not happy.
I'm not happy with it. I mean, I think we did great in the intro. Everybody involved in the intro did great work. I think, listen, overall, it's good. It's good. I just had a higher bar for certain parts of the site that
Got
didn't
it.
get there. So I just felt like I didn't have an end result to it. I didn't have and this is how you do it successfully. And I felt like I didn't want to do a video where I would just, maybe it would be a really useful video. So,
I think
guess what?
I'm all for transparency.
Yeah, and I'm saying this openly. So, that project that we started great. Well, guess what? It didn't end up as great as I thought.
So listen what happened to me. So I wanted to do the exact same thing. I had a client came to me, it was over 6 months ago, and they didn't have a lot of budget. So I said, look, I'm willing to lower my rates, but instead what I want to do is I want to make a documentary about the process that we're doing here. And I'll bring in a photographer.
That's right.
They'll document everything, the meetings, and we're going to share everything on YouTube to teach people how to do the process. And I did that. And so we filmed everything. And now, so I've paid the photographer. Now I'm paying the editor. But what happened was we did kind of a branding and a website. And I finished the work at December. We're now on end of May, right? So it's 5 months. They did not put the website live yet. And I'm like, so I feel like if I put this on, it was like, hey, we looked it up on Google and the website does not exist. Like, what, was that a lie? And I was like, now, so I don't know. And now I'm thinking, should I change the ending to, look, we did a project, but the client had other priorities. I don't know. But now actually I'm looking to work with them to put it live, but it happens,
That's exactly right. And I think for me, because I was doing things in real time, I found myself in this oh shoot.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not up to me. This is over. I don't want to do this video. I just feel like I'm not being true to what I set up the story to develop. It's so unfortunate. I would like to do it again. I want to do it again. I think I would like to do it again at scale as part of Huge, actually.
Yeah, this is so valuable, I think, for other designers.
I think so. There's no magic to it.
No, but just really, seeing the Google Docs, how you structure the content and just what the process is, it's very valuable for people. A lot of people can take away from it. And I think some designers are afraid to share their process, as in, hey, that's my magic sauce and somebody is going to copy me now. But I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I think we're past that point a little bit, but everybody's different, of course. But yeah, I think right now it's almost like we are in the oversharing moment of, the pendulum switched to the other side. And now, if anything, I'm like, oh my God, how many iterations is this designer doing on this project? It's like he's been posting variations of this marquee for the past month. Is this ever going to finish? I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's wrap it up with what's happening at Huge right now. So what's the challenge there? What was the thing that really excited you and that you're doing right now? Yeah,
so Huge, specifically in Oakland, has gone through historically a lot of churn on the leadership. It's an office that opened up to serve one client back in the days, and that was Google. But now it's far from there. Like we serve still Google and many other clients in the Bay Area. When I came to the office, like the first thing that I did for the first 3 weeks was to assess the talent, assess the work, and almost like assess the business from a creative perspective. And with that, I set a plan that will basically, being the final goal to create a healthy environment from a creative perspective, from a business perspective, that I will feel excited to come to every day. I think there's what I said before. You cannot create culture. You can only, it's almost like cooking a stew. You just throw stuff in there, put it, put the tap on it, and just wait for like 5 hours and see if that's all right. The way I've looked at it is like we have already a lot of talented people, yet their skill set are really narrow. How can we improve their toolkit? How can we improve our capabilities when it comes to the people that we already have? So I started a series of workshops that goes from, the primary motion design, from the basic of prototyping to really advanced prototyping, primary on 3D towards prototyping in Unity. Like all those workshops are happening, and we're like investing on them as a way to invest in the people that we have. I think not many companies do that for the employees. Some places you go in, you get hired by what you know, and unless you kind of like develop yourself into something else, that's pretty much it. I want to change that perception, and I think that comes with the meaning of commitment needs to go both sides. I'm expecting the people that work for me to be committed to the work, but I want them to know that I'm doing my best to show how the agency is committed to them and their growth. So that's people. Then there was, I'm telling you, I've talked about this a few times. So like, it's the plan. That's when it comes to the existing people. Then there was a gap on, skill sets, and that was like, still we're in that process. A series of like open recs that I put in place to basically create the skeleton of the structure of their work. We're a fairly small agency, like huge, different offices at different, number of people. In Oakland, we're like 51 people, and only around 20 are part of the creative department. So there's, we have people that do motion design, but what happens with motion design is that if you only have isolated people that do motion design, that person becomes, they become the resource that gets pushed around to animate, whatever UI. If you talk to any motion designer, there's nothing worse you can ask a motion designer other than animating someone else's UI. Yeah. It's just like the death of the soul. It's like, what am I doing here? There's no, even though you could do it really complicated, it's just, there's no juice for them there. So as part of this hiring process, like the idea is to create a motion department. And basically, when I say department, is create a business unit that it's billable externally by their capabilities, not by how they support the other departments. So
that's interesting. I thought that we're going to say the opposite thing. Like, I thought that you were going to say it makes sense now that every designer would know how to do the motion, so that anybody who does the UI should just animate its own UI.
Well, that's exactly what I meant. Like, as a motion designer, you should not be tasked to animate anyone's UI. You should be working on storytelling, motion graphics, advanced shit.
Yeah.
As a designer, you need to increase your capabilities, and come on, we're designing digital stuff. Like, you should be able to animate your things.
Yeah.
And you need to get really good at it.
Yeah.
And I'm not the best, but I can do everything. Once you get one, you kind of like get all of them. So that covers the people, that covers the skill sets, and the third one is the business. I feel like the Bay Area it's a really interesting market because from an agency perspective, you get a lot of small startups that just got started. Some of them need some work done to be able to like gather more funding. Some of them need, the full service of like, photo shoot, pictures like this, like, you know what I'm talking about?
Of
like
course.
all the VC companies, they just look the same. And then, so I don't want to necessarily serve those that need a website, crossing their arms. But I want to make sure even within the huge network, we're lean enough to work with companies that are smaller. And I think part of the things that got me excited was talking to the MD here in Oakland, the fact that we were really in sync
What's
in
MD?
how we will approach. Managing director.
Okay, got it. Oh.
The person driving the whole show.
I usually
not
it's
just
GM, no, or that's how or that's a different thing.
We have an MD and we have a GM.
Oh, okay, got it. So it's a different thing. Okay, got it.
Overhead people.
Yeah, got it.
But so some stuff that he said like really resonated with me, and it's the notion of like investing in your clients. Like if you're working, let's say, with a client that is on healthcare, and we're committed to growing that space, let's put some of our hours in our own cost towards that goal. And we, suddenly it's not like we're not a service company. We're committed to it. We're like, we have stake in the game, and it's a different way of working with them.
Super interesting.
So anyway,
yeah,
this was my plan. I'm still working on it. It's coming to fruition in some of those things, like the hires, the workshops, and how we're starting to approach some clients. But it's just the beginning of it.
Awesome, Claudio. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and get to know you. Good luck with everything in Huge, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the next work that you create over there and through your journey.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for making it happen.
Have a good evening.
Bye, you Claudio. As well. Take care.
Bye-bye.